Let's say that you want to take this data and graph it. And I've showed you in another video how you can just copy and paste this data as you want into something like graphical analysis and graph it there, which would be really easy. Or you can do it what I call the kind of more tedious way. I think it's more tedious anyway. Different tedious, I guess, of graphing it within Sheets itself. So let's get started. The basic way to make a graph in Sheets is to take the stuff that you want to graph. Like say that I wanted to take clock reading position and go like this. So I can take that clock reading position and I can just highlight it and insert chart. And it gives me a chart that looks nothing like what I want it to look like. And the other thing is it's not giving me the other sets of data that I need. So it's not giving me two sets of data on one axis, and that just takes a little bit more doing and manipulating to get that to work. So let me show you what I found is a pretty easy workaround. It involves a lot of copying and pasting, but it's nice and it makes graphs that look pretty good. So here we go. So if I take the clock reading position, so this is my low incline, right? So at low incline, I'll take this and I'll copy it. And if I just give myself a little bit of room down here for my position time graph, I'll hit paste. And that's a disaster. It doesn't look right. Hang on one more time. Clock reading, position, copy, scooch down a little bit, paste. Also a disaster. I don't know what's happening here. What's happening is when I pasted the data, it didn't paste the numbers, it pasted the formulas. And if you look, these values here are all calculated for something two columns over, and you'll see where I pasted it, there's nothing over there. So these formulas are all invalid now. So what I want to do is instead of, let me undo this, instead of pasting, I'm going to click here. If I go to the edit menu, there's something called paste special. And what I want is paste values only. So that will give me only the numbers from this data table up here. The other thing I can do is if I right click here, I can go to paste special, values only. Or one more time, I can click here and I can hit Command Shift V instead of Command V, and it will paste only the values. So there's my first set of data. I need to get a second set of data there. One thing you got to understand is when Sheets is making the graph, they're only going to be looking for x-axis data that's off of one column of your data here. So I'm going to take this other column. So here's my high incline data here. And I'm going to take my clock readings. I don't need the column title. The clock readings copy. I'm going to put them underneath my data for the other trial. So here we go, values only. And there's my clock readings again. And now I'm going to take my positions, high incline, position in centimeters. Copy those. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste those off to the side here, one more place over. And what that's going to do is it's going to make another series, another set of data that Sheets is going to look at to put on your graph. If you put them underneath, then it'll think it's all in the same data set. So values only. There we go. Now what I want to do is up here, I'm going to change my titles a little bit. This one I'm going to call low position. This one I'm going to call high position. In case you didn't know, I've turned on the word the text wrapping for these cells already so that I don't get big wide cells. All right, so now what you see, I've got three columns here, right? All of my X stuff is in the first column, and then my two different Y values are in my second and third columns. So now, if I take this and I drag all the way down, select all of that. Now if I hit Insert Chart, I still get a chart that doesn't look like what I want it to look like. So now I can start messing with it though. So if I come in here in the Setup tab here at the Chart Editor, so if you're ever not editing the chart, if you click here, double click, the Chart Editor will come out. So if you want to change something, go there, click on the Setup tab. I don't want a column chart. I don't want a line chart. What I want is a scatter chart. I want all the points there. Oh, look at that. It looks better already. And then right here, the x-axis you can see is the clock reading because that was way on the left. And then the two series that I have are low position and high position, and it's there. You probably want to make sure that these boxes are clicked appropriately. Let's see. So we'll keep this use column A as labels, use row 35 as headers because that's the titles of my column. So you'll see that if I don't do that, what happens is my legends disappear there, so I don't know which data set is which. All right. Now you'll notice that the stuff to the sides, we don't have axis labels, we don't have units, we don't have a title. So that's all going to be in the customized side. So once I get my data set up, this looks kind of roughly the way I want it to look. Now I can come over here and change things. So let's kind of work our way down. We got the chart style already. Okay, chart and axis titles. This is where all of your titles, the title, and also the horizontal and vertical axes are labeled here. So I'm going to put chart title, type it in here. This is position versus time. Can't type. Okay, so I've got that. Now I'm going to pick the horizontal title, and this is going to be clock reading in seconds. And my vertical title is position centimeters. All right, there we go. You can change other stuff if you want to change the font and stuff, but I'm fine the way it is. Next, in series, this is where you're going to put your curves on there. So apply to all series, fine. And then right here, what I want to do is click on trend line. And it's going to ask me what kind of trend line I want. That's obviously not linear. This is actually a polynomial because we talked about how this is a parabola. So that would be a second degree polynomial. Let's put the lines on there, or the curves on there. And for label, what I want to do is use equation. And so it's going to put the equation that I have up there. All right, so it kind of does it backwards though. This is like, we talked about ax squared plus bx plus c. This is c plus bx plus ax squared. So a little bit weird. And there's our position versus time graph. So you can kind of scooch that around so it's not in the middle of your data. And you can do this for each one of the graphs that you want to make. All right, so the general gist is you're going to highlight the columns that you want. You're going to arrange them in this way. And then you're going to make your graph. So let's do that for position versus clock reading squared. So if I highlight this, there's my clock readings. Again, let's change that to wrap the text. My high clock reading squared. Then I need my low positions. Oops. Paste values. These are my low positions. Here I have my high positions. Come and get those from over here. Oops, that's my own. Remember putting those here. All right, and again, come here, insert chart, and go through the setup again. Scatter. Oh wow, look at that. It didn't actually linearize it. Hopefully you guys know why that's not linearized. Use AT3 as headers. So I've got my legend up there. Customize. One more time. Just step through chart title. Then I've got horizontal axis title. And we're not going to bother putting a curve on there because we won't get one. So just leave that blank. That did not linearize our graph. See if we can get this to fit. There we go. Well, that was annoying. Sorry about that. Make that in here somewhere so we can see it. 1, 2. We need a velocity versus time graph. Remember that for velocity you're using middle time. So I need my middle times. I don't need that, so let's get rid of it. Middle time for the highs. Remember pasting values. Then we need our velocity for the lows. Turn on the wrapping. There we go. One more. Wish that would stop happening. High inclined velocity. Where are you there? I'll fix our title. Oops. Okay. So there's this data. Make our VT graph. Insert chart. And scatter chart, middle time there, high velocity there. Use that there, wonderful. And then we customize. And we change our titles. Horizontal axis. just the time. Vertical axis. There we go. We can put our fits on there, go to the series. We need to put trend line. These are linear. And for our label, remember, we're going to hit use equation. And that looks great. One weird thing that might be happening here, if you look at the x-axis, there is no 0 on that x-axis. So if I go to horizontal axis, and I pull down this arrow here for the horizontal axis, then when you see the minimum, I want 0 to be my minimum value. And that will put the 0 on there. That happens a lot when you have data that doesn't have 0 as a data point. It just doesn't bother to put that on the axis. But you need to show that. So do that. Otherwise, everything gets skewed just a little bit to the left. And then I think that's good. That. So we've got velocity time, we've got position time squared, we've got position time. Now we need to make velocity versus position. So let's put our, remember for that one we have to make the middle position column. So here's my positions. Paste the values. We don't need this row. Turn on the text wrapping. There's my middle positions for the low incline. I need the middle positions for the high incline. Thankfully, there's not a lot of them. Come down here. Paste the values. And then notice, this is, by the way, why we're doing this. It seems like it's super convoluted not to just put them right next to each other, but you can only pick one x-axis column to graph. You can pick as many y-axis columns as you want. But when you do that x-axis, the problem is that if you look, the middle positions for the low incline are not the same numbers as the middle positions for the high incline, and that's why we have to paste them below each other, kind of like this. So it seems kind of weird and convoluted what we're doing, but it is necessary. Now we'll take our velocities for our low. Paste values. What was I thinking here? We'll take a shortcut on the next one. Low velocities. We need velocities for the high, which are right there. So what am I going all the way up there for? I can just pick these. Copy that. Paste it there. And we can actually go ahead and steal the title of the column too. There you go. Low velocity, high velocity, middle position. Take all this stuff. Highlight and insert chart. It seems to be getting smarter. All that stuff looks great. What a weird looking graph. Setup looks good. Come over here. And we'll have to change some of the titles. Vertical axis titles, velocity. Centimeters per second. Oh, look, how convenient. Chart title. And there we go. Again, looking over here, it doesn't look like we have 0 shown on our x-axis. I'll come over here, horizontal axis, and pick 0 as my minimum value. And so you'll see that that one actually had to scooch quite a bit to show me that. And the y-axis looks pretty good. All right, as far as curve fits, you're probably not going to be able to put a curve on this, and probably you know why. Maybe you don't. If you look, these are sideways opening parabolas, and the problem with the sideways opening parabola is that for any x value, there's actually two y values. And so Sheets isn't going to love that. So we're not going to put a trend line on this, but let's just try just in case. Oop. Linear doesn't work. Not so much. Polynomial. No. What if we made it like a 10th degree polynomial? Nope. Even worse. Logarithmic? No. Power series? No. Moving average? No. So none of those fits are going to work. Just in case you didn't believe me. And so we're just going to leave that alone. Oh, undo this. Okay. So we'll just leave this graph as it is for now. But what we are going to do is we're going to have to linearize it. So how do you linearize a sideways parabola? I'm going to let you go into your graphical analysis website right now and kind of read up on that. Okay, you done reading? So what we're going to do is we're going to actually, like, remember when we had the upwards opening parabola, we squared the x-axis? Well, with the sideways opening parabola, we're going to square the y-axis and see what happens. So I'm going to square these values, the y values, so I need to make another column up here in my data table. So here's my low incline. Oops, I don't have enough space. So I can click here on the J, and then I can right click on that. I'm going to hit insert one column to the right, and it's going to be velocity squared. And the units will be centimeters squared per second squared. And my formula is going to be equals velocity caret, which is shift 6, 2. Or you can put h4 times h4. Or I'm sure there's 8 million other ways that you can do it. But and then I'm going to drag this little dot and scooch all the way down. My phone is ringing, but I'm not going to answer. Okay. So there's my velocity squared values. And those go with, let's see, did I copy? That goes with my low incline. Oh, what? Oops, I'm getting ahead of myself. Still have to do the same thing for high incline. Save ourselves a tiny bit of time. Copy that. Paste it there. We could probably copy the formula too, but it's easy enough. Click. Velocity squared. Drag it down. Ooh. If you double click on that little dot, sometimes it'll fill it down for you. All right, there we go. So now where are we putting this? We have to put this down here with our velocity and positions. So it's actually velocity squared that goes here. So I'm going to copy all of these middle positions, paste them here. Then I'm going to take my velocity this is for my low. This is for my high. Let's get the number curves. Those. Paste values. There we go. And then we'll get the other numbers. Do you like a million decimal places? I don't like a million decimal places. There, a couple of those. Come on down. I've got these that go here. Paste it up. Bam. And now we'll take this last graph. Insert the chart. And there we go. Oh, look, all the negative values went away. And so now we've got a pretty good looking chart. It looks like we've got the setup is good. Scatter plot. I'll go to customize now. Put a better title on it. Horizontal axis doesn't have to say middle position. That's just the data that we had to use. And vertical axis title. Centimeter squared per second squared. And one more thing, make sure that the horizontal axis shows that 0 is the minimum value. There it is. And then the last thing, not the last thing, second to last thing, go here to series and put trend lines on there. 2 trend lines, linear is fine, and use an equation. And so we've got our equations. So that is how you're going to make your graphs for the Inclined Glider Lab or the Inclined Air Track Lab.